for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. Honorable Ofoni.
I'm with you.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Sorry, we had a glitch, connection glitch, and thank God you're back. The floor is yours. Would you want to continue with the point you were making?
Yes, of course. To put the record straight, every political party has its own strongholds. Yes, it's no doubt that one of the strongholds of the APC is the Eastern Senatorial District of Bayelsa State, which comprises of Ogbea, Nembe, and Brass. And we are expected to do better in that senatorial district, despite the fact that our candidate, Chief Principal, is from that senatorial district too, because we have strong hold of the APC in that houses, and likely Southern Nigeria and part of Ninagwa. But unfortunately, what had happened is not necessarily because we had fictitious votes from that senatorial district. The votes we had are valid votes from the electorate. So the electorate that voted massively for our party and our candidate. But unfortunately for us, INEC were decided to play the role of the ground norm for these elections in question. So one wondered why, what informed, on what premises that INEC or INEC coalition officers at the LG Center, coalition center, now decided to cancel elections that had already been entered at the unit and at the unit level. Because once results had entered at the unit level, even the chairman of the commission, INEC, has no right to cancel the election, because the presiding officer on ground is in a better position to explain and to know as to when and what will amount to cancellation of elections. Not somebody somewhere else, maybe at the local government LGA center, coalition center, will now come and cancel results that have been duly accredited to a political party. Now, we had that problem in Nobia, we had a problem in Nembe, we had a problem in Southern Nigeria. So it's astonishing as to why only APC is being discriminated against. But where PDP fared very well, like in my local government area, 5 communities out of 48 communities produced 56% of the votes accredited to PDP. What happened? It was accepted by INEC. They never saw that as a strong goal of the PDP. They never saw anything wrong with the results from that local government. So why would they do the contrary to APC in our stronghold? It's a question that the court need to find answers to when we actually arrive at the tribunal.
To be honest with you, the good thing is that you have a recourse to the law to seek for redress, but without wanting to sound somewhat disrespectful, the way you are articulating your argument is speaking to the aberration that we saw happen in Adamawa when a blatant case of gangsterism was effected, and your party was using the same argument that in so much as that brazen act of gangsterism had been conducted, the only place for redress would be the court. Why is it that your party seems to be very confident in just wanting to, go to the courts at all costs like that. Why? It is seemingly disturbing, and it's putting the reputation of the judiciary. We had a guest yesterday who was lambasting the judiciary, believing that the APC now has turned the judiciary to even, the presidential candidate of the PDP, who just lost to a presidential candidate, went to Kano or was talking about the Kano election and was also giving the same reasoning. That is like the APC now is overly confident. Whenever they bounce anything to the courts, they will be happy, rather than just let the system play itself clean and nice. Is that right? Hello, Honorable.
As a matter of fact, yes, I'm with you. As a matter of fact, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
As a matter of fact, what is happening in Nigeria is that when the judiciary is on your side, or maybe you win an election, or you win a case in the court, the judiciary is perfectly good and okay. But if you lose out at the judiciary, you start crying foul. That is the Nigerian factor, and that's what Nigerians have turned the judiciary to be. When the judiciary does not favor them, they lambaste the judiciary. When the judiciary favors them, they clap for the judiciary. So if we are civil citizens that are considered APC, so we want the thing to go through the grinding mill completely. We don't want a situation where we will recourse to violence. That's why we always prefer that the court should intervene. Unlike what INEC have just done, INEC is the prosecutor, INEC is the one who is arrested, INEC is the judge. It's absolutely wrong. There is absolute separation of powers. And INEC function is to conduct elections and announce results. And if there's any issues from any said elections, it is for us to go, the aggrieved parties to go to court. That is the most civilized conduct. And that's what APC is doing. And not necessarily that APC is glad to go to tribunal. It's only when we are aggrieved that we go to court. If PDP is not aggrieved, PDP will not go to court. If PDP is equally aggrieved, PDP will equally go to court. So there's no need for people to come up with a aberration that APC is glad to go to court, and we will not suggest that go to court after the elections. No. We are saying go to court because that is procedural, and that is a civilized way of conducting our activities and conducting oneself, and that's what APC embraces.
But let's get a bit more forensic now. Just getting a bit more forensic. Would you not think that, one, your party presenting an ancient marina, quote unquote, the best phraseology and the best metaphor I can use, your party presenting an ancient marina for that election, number one. Number two, the legal or technical jurisprudential issue that he had prior to the elections. You don't think that all those factors too may have contributed to the unfortunate result that your party got, notwithstanding all these claims of the 84,000 invalidated votes?
It gladdens me to note and to tell the whole world that what transpired at that before the elections, before we are now brought back to the ballot, was a political psychological warfare launched by PDP to a large extent. And that is why when that judgment came, PDP were jubilating. And when the judgment was overturned, the judiciary became a bad boy. So that kind of scenario and that kind of practice and that kind of notion, that kind of belief of Nigeria are uncalled for, and it's saddening. And that kind of thing does not give the judiciary the appropriate concern to do what is just. It's intimidatory to the judiciary. When a party lost, the party will lambaste the judiciary. When they wins, they clap for the judiciary. That is not what's supposed to be. When the arbiters are not giving judgment, we should abide by the judgment. And you see, the issue of representing a nation minority does not even exist. As far as I'm concerned, because, election is precipitated based on the performance of any person, that's why it needs to be re-elected. And as I earlier mentioned before, in the past, you see, Bayelsa State is at war with darkness. There's absolutely potable drinking water, a pint of a potable drinking water is absent. There's food insecurity. And let me tell you for an instance now, particularly in my local government, when PDP was canvassing for vote, the only thing PDP can afford to tell people in my local government is that there is zoning, there is need for the AG to complete its 8 years without cogent reasons. They were only noted the fact that there was zoning. And I asked myself, when it was the turn for the South to produce the presidential candidate for PDP, they forgot that it was zoning. When the senatorial elections in my local government, in my senatorial district, particularly Bayelsa West, came up, even when the current senator in Bayelsa West said he's going to complete the immediate past senator 2 years in office, everybody clapped for him, and there was need for him to go and complete that tenure. Thereafter, he had gone for another tenure. They've forgotten zoning. So you see, so you can now see that the votes that is accredited to, particularly in my local, accredited to PDP, is a political somersault, because the votes are not precipitated on nothing. Because the votes ought not to be listed. They don't need to elicit that amount of vote from Sagoma local government, particularly because there was nothing actually that is convincing that they need to get that kind of vote from Sagoma local government area, who are turned around to become the Kano of Bayelsa elections.
But if you are using that,
is a political somersault.
Honorable, if you're using that reasoning, an average Nigerian political war seemed to have deepened poverty, seemed to have deepened, increased the discomforts of life. So one in your position must be very careful not to use that rationalization or that reasoning, because it could boomerang. Don't you think so?
Let me be clean on this subject matter. There's relative hardship all over the world. Even in places like France, America, there's a hike in food price and many other items. Like now, that's why government
Honorable, we must give it to him. He was battling the question.
Now we have removed our own subsidy. Removing our own subsidy, the government is doing a bit to ensure that there's light behind the tunnel. And the government is working around the clock to ensure that the people are relieved of the hardship. But be that it may be, back home in Bayelsa State, the government itself has weaponized poverty. Like I told you previously, that the palliatives are being shared along party line. Even as I speak today, this afternoon today, that we are granting this interview, the palliatives are still being shared on party lines. The palliatives are taken to certain persons' domain, and they are being shared in small vehicles, what they call this vehicle, Ayana. They are carrying these products to people's houses. Bags of rice, like say 50-30 is taken to one man's house. What manner of sharing palliative is that? That's what is happening in Bayelsa State. And PDP, I stand to be corrected. Let them come and say what I'm saying is a lie, or it's not truth. It's a very sad phenomenon we find ourselves. And that's why the people are earnestly wanting APC to form the government of the day in Bayelsa State. And we hopefully believe that there's light beyond the tunnel at the end of the tribunal.
We really wish your party the very best at the tribunal, and that working the machinery of the electoral system to the Supreme Court, because inevitably, as it is the fact now in all Nigerian elections, it is almost certain that this litigation, if kick-started, would end up at the Supreme Court. We wish you all the best. Honorable, it's been very engaging, very interesting having you, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll go on a short break now, and when we're back, we do the second segment of the show.
Being online has become a part of our every waking moment. From the moment we wake up in the morning till we hit the pillow at night, we are browsing, scrolling through social media, responding to messages. We live our lives online almost as much as we live it in reality. These anonymous interactions, like any other human interaction, comes with complexity and challenges. People get into civil discussions, debates, banter, and share with one another. With these interactions come disagreements, arguments, conflicts that can soon degenerate into trolling, bullying, and general unpleasantness. The discretion we employ in face-to-face interaction is further decreased online. In fact, according to psychologist Robert Sutton, disrespectful, demeaning, and downright mean-spirited behavior is worse than ever. This behavior is especially true of online discourse, which researchers describe as the online disinhibition effect. Stanford psychology professor John Sula in 2004 said, "The online disinhibition effect can cause people to act out in either a benign manner, wherein they overshare their personal information, or in a toxic manner wherein they become abusive or threatening." "I am in my house, come and beat me" is a common saying online that alludes to the inaccessibility that emboldens even regular people to behave in less than civil ways online. Another factor responsible for this behavior, apart from anonymity and availability, is solipsistic introduction. A situation, according to Dr. Sula, where you don't have any physical cues associated with the person you're communicating with, and other person becomes just a voice in your head. As such, the people in your online conversations merely become characters in your imagination, formed by your own personal history and expectations. You might also hear his or her voice as your own, which makes you feel more comfortable with the other person and further lowers your inhibitions. As we have rules that guide our interactions in real life, unspoken rules need to be developed for our online interactions. Social media etiquette, or social mannerism simply put, means do's and don'ts for social media interactions. These etiquettes are also referred to as netiquettes. The term netiquette refers to all aspects of online communication, including email, instant messaging, social media, multiplayer gaming, and other forms of online communication. The main goal behind netiquette or mannerisms on social media is to treat others with respect and take care of intellectual property rights and associated implications. Personal information, images, or videos of anyone should not be shared without consent or mentioning credits where due. Except we seek to change such behaviors, it will pervade. Here are some social media netiquettes. When sending a DM, be polite and go straight to the point. When responding to posts, even if you disagree, be careful not to use condescending and insultive words. Take a 5-minute pause before you post any comments. Don't comment on topics that people tend to be passionate about. Don't respond to insults or hateful language. Don't say to people online what you won't have the audacity to say to them in person. Avoid excessive tagging of people. Ask before tagging people. Although it may seem inoffensive, tagging a friend or acquaintance on social media without their permission could in many ways cause problems for that person. Good social media etiquette means you should always request for permission before tagging anyone.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has declared that Western liberal democracy has failed in Africa because it was forced, quote unquote, forced on the continent. The former president noted that the Western liberal democracy will never work as a system of government in Africa because it does not take into account the view of the majority of the people. Let's take a listen.
We have a system of government in which we have no hands to define and design, and we continue with it even when we know that it is not working for us. Those who brought it to us are now questioning the rightness of their invention, its deliverability, and its relevance today without.
Joining us live is constitutional lawyer Evans Ofeli. Barrister Ofeli, good to have you on Plus Politics.
Thank you.
What can we say about the remark of this elder statesman on liberal democracy and its seeming futility or its seeming anachronism of a sort in our polity?
Well, I think that the statement he just made is one that calls for a lot of interrogation. First of all, he meant that the Western liberal democracy is one that we have practiced for a while, but it appears that we are not able to practice it exactly as the West practice it. And I think he's right to that extent. It's right to the extent that we have practiced it in a manner that leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, from the way we conduct our political system to electioneering to getting to the tribunal and then getting the result. And we have defined our own kind of liberal democracy, which in itself is not liberal, by the way. I agree with him, except that the messenger himself also contributed massively to the distorted democratic result that we have had over the years. He has led this country both as a military head of state and as a civilian president, and he should know. And it was under his watch that democracy could not succeed, as it were. He even created a layer of a third-term attempt, which was never democratic, which was unconstitutional and all that. I think that while he makes that remark, he should also let the public know and the entire international community know that he contributed immensely to the distorted value and the outright inconsistent democratic results that we have today in the country. He has mentored people too during his reign as the PDP leader. Of course, being a president of the country, the leader of the party, he introduced what he called the do or die affair kind of politics. He also superintended over human rights abuse and violations that was akin to genocide. Okay, and he also contributed immensely to the distortion of the economic value of the Nigerian state, given that for 8 years he didn't perform as much as he should have done, given that we're just coming out from military regime. The democracy was fresh. The economy was not this bad, but that dividend of democracy that was desired by the citizens, we didn't get it. We're not up to this number in population. We had a good opportunity to fix electricity, for example. We couldn't do that. We had good opportunity to fix the economy, make it robust, lay the foundation for which the coming leaders or successive leaders would have built on. But all that were not delivered. So I think it's a message that is made in good faith, but same message shot the messenger at the foot.
So you find it a bit difficult to separate the messenger from the message. However, the color of the truism that the message wears to you, is that what you're saying?
Of course, the message is quite clear and is the truth. It's the truth to the extent that it is given. We have not been able to practice democracy the way it is practiced. Look at the issues of freedom of speech, for example. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a repression of the citizen, even to assemble freely and protest peacefully. You are being hunted down, okay, today. So that's not how it is practiced in the West, from where it came from. The issue of the welfare, the security and welfare of the citizens, okay, is guaranteed in where democracy came from. It's not guaranteed in Nigeria. Okay, certain aspect of the constitution of the federal of Nigeria is not justiciable. It is justiciable where democracy came from. Okay, if you look at our
what are the justiciable principles that you would like to see replicated here? Let's talk to the specifics now, because I tend to be hearing a somewhat utopian portraiture of democracy in the West. And I don't know anywhere now in the world where liberal democracy has not been faced with disillusionment. Indeed, in some respects, voter apathy. So let's speak to what are the classical differences of our democracy to what prevails, say, in any Western liberal democracy that it was juxtaposing Nigeria's liberal democracy with.
Okay, I'll give you many as much as possible. Let's look at the issues of Chapter 2 of our Constitution, for example, where public health care is one of the fundamental objective and directive principles of state policy. Public health care, for example, is not visibly organized here. In the West, it is. In the West, it is. So that one is very clear. Public health care is guaranteed in the West, not guaranteed here. That's one. 2, human rights in terms of the welfare and security of the citizen is guaranteed in the West to a large extent, to the extent that the public are largely secured, except for some cases, maybe in the US, where you have gone back to another, which is actually exceptional. It's not an attack on the populace. Okay, as it were, it is usually an attack between people with differences and the rest of that. So to a large extent, security and welfare, access to credit is guaranteed. You don't need to have 100% of funds before you access goods and services over there in the West. Okay, meritocracy. Over there in the West, the policies of government acceptability, employment is based on meritocracy. Okay, not on nepotistic tendencies and tendencies that are repugnant as it were. Okay, so it's guaranteed. When you look at also the issues of human rights, human rights generally, from the right to life, to right to freedom of movement, to expression, to, the rest of it. Largely so, I know that in the West, there are certain areas that they are challenged, but it is not to the volume or quantum we have it here in Nigeria, where, the rights of citizens are willfully suppressed by the establishment, and the government will get away with it.
How would you respond? How would you respond to the argument that says that some of the things you have itemized working in the West are not working in, say, our polity, or in most quote unquote purported liberal democracies of Africa, that some of these things are functions of poverty rather than the organic dystopia of democracy, that you fundamentally need to solve the problem of poverty. And if you really look at the history of the West, before they got to where they are now, they passed through what the kind of thing we are experiencing now because of the relative poverty that prevailed in their societies then. How would you respond to that?
Well, from the get-go, if you look at the Constitution, the people's poverty to be blamed on their government. Because if you look at the Constitution in section 14.3, it said that the government shall stir the economy in such a way that it will guarantee prosperity of the people. Section 14. That the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. So by the time you just oppose this with people knowledge and perhaps the knowledge, take on government officials on special.
Barrister Ofeli, the connection is a bit rough.
The citizens would have gotten to a point where.
Hello, Barrister Ofeli. Can you switch off the video and let's just do audio?
Otherwise, they should be able to enforce their rights under the law by making concerted effort to ensure that government guarantees the basics of the human condition under the Nigerian state. So the people are so repressed. You talk about the fact that the West went through a lot of difficulties before they got to where they are. We have also suffered enough. We have gone through a lot of difficulties. 60 years plus is enough time to have fixed our economy and place it in an area where it will guarantee the rights of the citizens and to give the citizens the dividend of democracy and what is required by law. But here, rather than stir the economy to favor the citizen, it is stirred to favor just the bourgeois. The very few, less than 1% of the people in our country are the ones that enjoy the dividends of democracy under our legal system as currently constituted.
Barrister Ofeli, and this will be my last question for you. You don't think that it is somewhat functionally delusional for a country that the only thing it has done consistently, positively, or indeed, in fact, it is anathema to use the word positive in that instance. The only thing Nigeria has increased on is our population since independence. When we got independence in 1960, we were 58 million people. Now we are more than 200 million. And with our 200 million plus population, 3 times the population of South Africa, we are just about the same GDP level with South Africa. So it means that 3 Nigerians produce what 1 South African worker produces. With such an economy where resources are daily task, we add 5 million, the population of Norway or the population of Gabon, we add 5 million to our population every year. And somebody who twice ruled Nigeria within those 6 decades now has the temerity to be finger pointing and be pontificating when ordinarily he had 2 major chances to make sure that population could have been positively controlled or productivity could have been positively increased. I'm thinking maybe somebody like you need to review this thing more critically than just buying the sexy part of the submission.
Yes, I understand that in that government has also performed either. Yes, over the years, government have not shown.
Barrister Ofeli, unfortunately, we have to go on this occasion. The line has not been too good. We really want to appreciate you for your invaluable contribution, the robustness of your intellectual contributions, and thank you for enriching the program. We really have to go at this juncture. Thank you. Today's throwback. Madam Tinubu, the Egba woman whose name and legacy still define Lagos's reward for tenacity. Richest Nigerians of the 1800s and the early 1900s, and the timeless lessons we must learn from them for lasting riches. I must start this short literary biopic with a stern intellectual warning. Madam Efunroye Tinubu's bittersweet life, when put to review by modern literary critics, must not be subjected to the harsh lens, quote-unquote, of presentism, that is the practice of interpreting and evaluating past events and historical figures based on present-day moral, social, and cultural standards. Efunroye Tinubu, 1810 to 1887, born Efunroye Tinubu, was a peculiarly enigmatic Yoruba female merchant and slave trader in pre-colonial and colonial Lagos, Nigeria, quote-unquote. She was a politically and economically astute and influential figure in Lagos during the reigns of Obas or Kings Adele, Dosumu, Oluwole, and Akitoye, helping the latter 2 Obas to attain the throne. She married Oba Adele while he was in exile and followed him to Lagos on his reinstallation. She used his connections to establish a successful trading network with the Portuguese, Spanish, and Brazilian merchants in slaves, tobacco, salt, cotton, palm oil, coconut oil, and firearms. She reportedly owned over 360 personal slaves, some of whom she used to constitute a standing militia. She indeed had her own army. She reportedly next to the Olota of Oto and the mainland, had owned the largest piece of real estate on mainland Lagos. A sprawling kola nut farm, Igbo Obi, from whence the Igbo Obi name was coined, was said to have encompassed the whole of where the National Orthopedic Hospital is in Igbobi today, and as far westward as Obele and where Luth, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, is presently located. Madam Tinubu died in 1887 and was buried in Ojokodo quarters of the ancient city of Abeokuta after she had been declared persona non grata in Lagos due to her refusal to stop trading in slaves, and also after she had deployed her wealth and connections to supply arms and ammunition to Egba forces in the battle with which they liberated themselves from the rapacious Daomis, a role which earned her the highly esteemed title of Iyalode Egba. The famous Tinubu Square on Lagos Island, a place originally known as Ita Tinubu's Court, was changed to Independence Square in the First Republic before it was reverted to its former or original name. Also, a statue memorializing her stands in Abeokuta today. Didactic. Madam Tinubu's heroic life, both before and after her death, portrays a woman of purpose, determination, grit, and strategy. She, like many go-getter men of all times, refused to let fear define her life. She reportedly married up to 5 times, her first in her natal Owu, second to Oba Adele, and first later to war captains in Lagos and Abeokuta after her eviction from Lagos. That's it on the show tonight. I'm Bola Oba. Have a good night.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 and they pay.
My name is Tokumbo Ojekunle. I was born into the family of Abiodun and Olabisi. Father was from Abeokuta, mother from Porto Novo. What a very lucky and nice combination. I refer to myself as a Lagos boy, born in Lagos, bred in Lagos, and my earliest recollection was our family movement or resettlement from Lagos Island, Ebutimeta axis, to the now called New Lagos. New Lagos included Shita, Akerele, Bankolemo, Olawale Daudu, Adinuro Ogunsoya, Adelabu, Ogunlano Drive, the core Surulere. I then also recall the serene environment, the huge palm trees, palm kernels in the area. The sand feeling was white and rich like the sands from the Bar Beach. The interesting part of this experience was the cordial family relationships that brought life to the community. There was communal love, deep affection, devoid of ethnic or religious feelings. The clean drainage that ran through the community was quite enticing. We would either take a swim or decide to fish. Yes, fish. As kids, we were not spared the knocks, the floggings, and all the forms of reprimands attached to our usual rascally habits. The high point was arrange a bicycle ride in the tarred road, but then woe betide you if you are caught. I recall the rather long stretch two-way drive that ran all the way from Lagos Island, Idumota, right through to Ikorodu town. Yes, the Ikorodu road was at that time dual carriageway. It was always rough and busy. I also recall the good old days when the Western region began its marking from the Maryland area. Every house, every stretch, every community stretching from Maryland area was under the control of the western state of Nigeria. Good old days when fun, unending fun, flowed and went through the various club scenes in Lagos. You name them. Fela's African Shrine at Alakara and later Ikeja. Paradiso, Caban Bamboo, owned by late Highland veteran Bobby Benson. We also had Fantasy Club, Kakadu at Alagomiji, the Lord's Club at Maryland, and many to mention. Lagos nightlife was good, really good. The interesting thing was the safety of the night trips between the clubs. Safer still were the phone visits to the National Theatre Igomu, where live performances were always on the show. The local films were usually laced with foreign productions. I flash back to the days when we were exposed to the viewing of performances by many African nations. That was during the Festac 77. As I stand here and now, I recall the beautiful anthem of the festival. Can those days really come back? But hey, they still remain indelible in our minds. As we reflect on the good old days, the best days ever, I look forward to better days ahead when our children will be greater than us. Our story will be better told. I join Shimori Badijo in this collective drive towards a greater tomorrow.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayomi Sale. And drum roll. We have to do drum roll for her. Mary that went a wall. Welcome, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome, Mary. Exhausted.
I know. You look like today is that day.
It's crazy. Very crazy, but and the heat is not making
Oh.
it. Yeah. The sun is hot.
So literally, right after my morning workout this morning, the way I was sweating, you would think that there was.
You did so much workout, like.
Do you understand? It was just a 30-minute workout. But if you see this sweat, even after I'd had my shower, like I was still dripping. Literally, I had to jump quickly into the car because the AC was not even cooling at all. I said, The workout was melting a lot of things in my system. My darling, in the right places. I saw one of my, I'll call her friend, you know, she's an actress. I sent her a private WhatsApp chat. I said, the way your body is looking, please show me the way. She said, the way it's exercise. I said, you count me out. Count me out. It is where. How are you, Dee? How was your night and how was the day today?
It was okay. It was okay. I can't wait for the day to be over.
Literally, my eyes like literally. If you see me sleep, let me give advance notice because I'm extremely exhausted.
We got this. We got this.
We got it. We came for you. Came for Mary's jugular.
They didn't come for me.
We came for Mary's jugular on today's topic. Here's what we found first of all as today's quote. It is illegal, to price or
continue.
Wait now.
You're thinking
Denominate the cost of any product or service, visible or invincible, in any foreign currency. See, I'm waking up already. In Nigeria, and no business offer or acceptance should be consummated in Nigeria in any currency other than the naira. And this was from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
It's only that part of the law that it's all right.
She's prepared for us.
She's very prepared.
Alright, so in case you're wondering, right, in a video that we saw today that was trending online, a designer justifies why she charges her customers in dollars in Nigeria, and this has elicited a lot of reactions, especially in reference to what impact this act would have on further devaluing the naira. So it's our ladies' night out. Adiola, Mary, and I, of course, as you see, are here to discuss the topic. Should we normalize businesses charging foreign currencies within Nigeria? That's the question. Of course, when we open our phone lines today, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll see what we found in today's news.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.